All right, here we are, June 22nd, with the flock in the bottom field. It's about 7 o'clock in the morning, and we're just about to let them out of their night corral and send them into the next paddock, the last paddock of this field. You can just kind of see the line where the grass gets tall there. And we've bedded them back in this night corral 2 nights in a row. Last night was the second night, so which is why we left it in not the paddock they were in yesterday, but the paddock they were in the day before. So we bedded them back here. It was Sunday. We're just trying to cut down on chores. So I got everything set. I've moved their water. It's always nice to move the water ahead of them in the summertime. And yeah, you just see where that berm of grass is. That's where they're going. I've rolled the fence back, the 2-strand electric fence. We've got a, just barely see it, but you can see those pickets there. That's the river perimeter fence. We are not giving them access to the river because it's a little bit dangerous right now for the lambs. And we need a border to terminate our cross fences at. We've got a 2-strand permanent fence you can't see, but it's just at the bottom of that bank. So that's a permanent 2-strand fence, and that's where we're pulling our power from. Pulling it down here with 2 reels per cross fence. And then we're wrapping the reels to connect to power up the river fence. So it's been working pretty well. All this area has been grazed, you know, a new paddock every day. And yeah, this setup is working really awesome for preventing predation and guard dog harassment during the night. This is our old guard dog, Gem. That's right, you're done for the night, eh? She's very happy and content to stay with the sheep in the corral. She doesn't jump out, usually doesn't. I think she can if she wants. And then the other 3 guard dogs, young guard dogs, get to run around all night. One of them we're tying during the day because she likes to play a little bit rambunctiously with the sheep and the lambs. She's still a puppy. So we keep her tied during the day and then loose at night. So they chase coyotes all night. And yeah, this is just a real bulletproof way of keeping your sheep out of trouble, keeping trouble from them. And so I'm just going to open this up. We are energizing the net fence with a small portable energizer, a portable ground rod, and a portable RV battery that we just bring out to the field. And we power it up separately from the permanent fence. Come on! They heard me roll the fence up already, so they know. Come on! Pretty cool to watch them as they go into the tall grass. This is what they left yesterday. Our goal is to hit this pasture with maximum impact. It's had quite an issue with Canada thistle invasion. The big patch of Canada thistle is just up here. You can see a lot of these guys. They've actually had a lot of the leaves stripped off by the sheep because they were in such a dense paddock. It's basically from, you can see that picket and that edge there, that's the size. And now they're flooding into the new paddock. Can't quite see past the sun rays. Good boy. Stay down. Stay. I just love this part as they disappear into the tall forage. Get into the shadow here. They love to see fresh forage every day. Gives them, makes them happy. Hey, go that way. Go that way. You can see they've trampled quite a lot of biomass. The forage has gotten quite stemmy. This is the first time we've grazed this pasture this year. So we'd fed on it with cows, unrolled hay all winter. Got a lot of cow manure and hay waste on it. And we kept all the animals off as it started growing in the spring. And we wanted to allow our forage to outcompete the thistles and other weeds as much as possible. And it worked. We also got irrigation onto this pretty early as the early spring was dry. And so yeah, this field responded really well. Even though the thistles are quite tall, the forage competed well above, and it actually kept all the thistles very suppressed. So that means it's suppressing the thistle roots underground. And yeah, it's just been had a serious thistle problem in this field for, many decades, probably 40 or 50 years. I've seen pictures going back long before I was born when they used to hay this pasture. We no longer hay it. We took it out of hay production in 2019, and we've started grazing it much more deliberately, rotationally. And the big thing that we've decided to do, well, basically just give the forage everything it's going to want. So early maturation, no grazing early on, let those forage roots establish in the soil and outcompete, at least compete with the thistle. And the other really important thing that we're doing right after we graze, you might see there's a little green tractor over there, and it's got a little brush hog mower on the back of it. So we're very careful to make sure we do this only a day or two after the sheep graze. But we go and mow the area that was grazed just before. We knock down all the seed heads and the thistles. So that cuts the seed source down because they are getting close to bud, to flowering. So now is the perfect time to cut the thistles down. And because we've allowed this pasture to just collect solar energy all spring and not graze it, and allow it to fully express itself to the seed out stage, because everything's gone to, not quite viable seed. This brome here has got a few more weeks to produce viable seed. But we're going to knock all this down. It's going to drastically increase the vegetation and the quality of the crop. And all this well-distributed manure is going to grow the next grazing crop this year. So we'll probably let it express itself again. We won't return to this pasture until the very end of the summer or even early fall. And, usually you can typically graze, multiple times a year, more than twice a year, 3 or 4 or sometimes even 5 times, depending on how you graze it. But sometimes you want to allow a sick pasture to heal. And to do that, you have to give it lots of rest. You have to give it intense impact in a short period of time, and then give it a large period of rest and recovery to regrow roots, to regrow solar panels, and start pumping solar energy back into the soil again, so that these plants can outcompete these weeds. And I'm pretty hopeful. Right after we get it mowed down, shortly after we get it mowed down, we'll probably put our irrigation system down here, sprinkler system. And if it gets really wet, we probably won't, but it's looking dry in the forecast. And I think the sheep are doing pretty well too, even though this isn't really vegetative forage. It's a lot of stem, it's a lot of mature feed. There's a lot of vegetative feed mixed in. You get down here, look at that. You got lamb's tongue plantain. That's one of the best forages for sheep. Very leafy, very vegetative. You still see a lot of leafy grass. There's a lot of legumes, some vetch. We got lots of domestic vetch in here. In other areas, there's a lot of clover. There's some red clover here. So the sheep will go down in here and select. They'll select the best first. There's even an alfalfa plant. Look at that. Beautiful purple flowers. Yeah, the sheep and the lambs are going to select the best in the first few hours, and they're going to be eating, pure cream for the first few hours in this small paddock, and then they're going to get less selective. They're going to start eating more stem, thistle leaves, thistle heads, buttercup flowers. They don't eat much of the buttercup plant because it's a bit toxic, but you can see there's no buttercup flowers where they've grazed. So yeah, this is a fantastic treatment. There was a bale, end of a bale was left here in the wintertime. That's why it's so fertile. This is almost over my head. This is reed canary grass. Beautiful cool season grass. Look at those broad, well fertilized blades. That is beautiful. You make baskets out of that. But yeah, they're gonna have a good time in here. The weather has been very cool, relatively cool, which has allowed us to not worry about providing much for shade. Though there has been a little bit of shade, tree over there. But that's a big consideration when you're doing high stock density grazing with any livestock. You typically don't have access to shade. We're running our cross fence on the edge of that shade border. So now if it was, in the 30 degrees range, we would probably have worked at running our back fence in the bush closer to the river to allow them some shade. Or we would have come out here with, we got an old silage wagon we can park in the middle of the field, and that can provide shade for, a few dozen at a time, I guess. It's not really sufficient, but there's they also get shade from the thistles, believe it or not, and in the tall grass. But anyway, this last week has been really forgiving. It's all been mid 20 degrees, nice breezes, so perfect for grazing without shade. And that's how we're revitalizing our pastures, keeping them healthy, competing against weed pressure instead of eradicating with hacks like poisons. We're not going to do that. We're going to let management guide us. We'll let the weeds influence our management, because if you manage your way out of a weed situation, you're not just going to get rid of the weeds. You're going to have healthier pasture, healthier animals. So let management be your guide. What a beautiful day. So blessed. I'm blessed, and those sheep are blessed. Have a good day.